Hey, this big guy DIY Robert coming to you with another video. This one here will be really on my part an upgrade on a front light bar that's installed in my F150. I'll show you how to install this plus the wire harness because 2009 through 2014 the front end of this truck is actually pretty acceptable to adding a light bar tucked into the bumper or into the front end of the truck, so it's not sticking out, or where you have to go out and buy, say, a light bar bracket, install that, and then you can install your light bar. The main reason I use a light bar is because when I head up north, it's pretty doggone dark, and I need the road pretty well lit up to spot the moose and the deer that are using the road to travel, specifically in the winter. Even though a moose is pretty big and has a dark coat on in the winter, its coat does not reflect any kind of light like, say, a deer coat would, and it just absorbs it. And that's why a lot of moose get hit up north, is because of lack of lighting from the vehicles, the way the lights are appeared. Now I have a light on the front end of my truck, and I'll show you what that looks like. So I installed this light bar probably, I think, about 4 years ago. And when I say it fits well into the area, this is what I mean. It doesn't stick out, which is what I wanted. That was intentional. Let's open up the hood here and I can show you inside. Access to this light bar is actually right here. What I installed in here, this is what my fingers are on, is a C channel. And then the brackets themselves were installed and they go straight back into that C channel. On the left side here, you can see a hole. This is part of the frame in the front end of the truck that holds this bumper assembly. And there's a hole here and a hole on the other side. And this is where you can through bolt a either flat piece of steel or a C channel to install the light in the front. The reason I'm swapping this out is the lens has gotten beat up pretty badly from the road, from the salt and stuff, and I already damaged it on one side, so water is starting to intrude in here. And this one here was a combo light, so I had a fog and a driving beam. I think the driving beam was in the center and then the fog was on the outside. It still works, but I'm going to upgrade it to a different light. Now, depending on the engine that you have for an F-150, if you have the V6, your license plate holder is going to be like this. If you have a V8, you're going to have this over here, and your license plate will be in the middle, license plate holder in the middle. Here are the original holes to mine. So I removed that, and I went online and bought this bumperette, just doing the search as my engine being the V6 Turbo EcoBoost. And in that way I can open this up. Now the reason why they do it like that for the V6 versus the V8 is the V6 has the intercooler in this area for the turbo. And so they need that direct airflow going in there to get to the inner turbo. So these things here just really just pop off. And I'm going to pop them off because the new light bar I bought is a pinch wider. This is 14 inches. The new one I got is 18 inches, so it's going to go to the width of this, but it's much more narrower. And I had to fabricate L brackets in order to work because the, what's the word I'm looking for here? This part here of the light does not go straight back. The foot actually goes straight down. There's no option to do a foot straight back. So I got to change on how it's setting up. So let's talk about wire harness. Let me grab the packaging for the wire harness. So the wire harness is Diode Dynamics. That's the new light that I'm putting in here. And this is the complete wire harness that I bought. So with it, it comes with the switch that's installed inside the cab. I'll show you where mine is. My switch is here. And then it also comes with the relay, which is here, with an inline fuse. So I want to point out the wiring first. It is very well protected with this, I want to call it snake skin, but it's a nylon protective. It's not a solid cover, so water can drain from this. Everything that I found on here was very well sealed from the elements. I can show you this here. This is the wire harness to the relay. So it is definitely designed to get crap on it. My advice is, though, when you attach the relay to the plug, use a lot of dielectric grease, because salt, like in my area, I have a lot of salt brine and salt that's used on the roads up north, and it corrodes everything like crazy. So by putting a lot of dielectric grease in here, it'll prevent this relay from corroding quickly. The other thing I like about their wire harness is their fuse. I think it's a 5-amp fuse in here. This is waterproof. This is one thing that tends to go a lot on my backup lights that I have installed in the rear bumper. It's not a waterproof fuse setup, and I'm kind of sad it's not. But yeah, it is what it is. Highly recommend it. I know some lights will give you the wire harness, but if it's not, you know, waterproof protected, I would go buy a higher end one. All my connections are shrink wrapped, so as it goes to the battery itself, everything is shrink wrapped tight, so I don't get any water leakage. So you got a wire that runs from the switch and where it goes through on an F150, and it's the same for 2009 through 2014 and probably even later, is, you see what my light's on right there? That there is a very large rubber grommet, and there's a hole through the center of it, and that will allow you to run the wiring. And you can see, let me change the beam here for you. You can see my wiring right here goes through that rubber grommet up towards the top there. Okay, that rubber grommet, believe it or not, you can pull that right out of the firewall, and I would suggest to do that. Pull it to the inside of the engine compartment, and what I had to do is wrap the end of the wiring, the connections, those connections that will attach to your switch, which are 3 female plugs. You have to wrap that all together, but leave a loop on the end, and with a coat hanger you can pull it through this rubber grommet that attaches to the firewall. Reason I'm saying pull it out of the firewall is because it's very difficult to get it through that rubber grommet. So I used a little Windex to pull it through, because the Windex will dry off, but when Windex is wet, it's still slippery, and that'll allow the wiring to pull through. And I just used a coat hanger to pull it through inside. Once it's pulled through, you still will have to lay down here and look up into the back. And you can see where it comes through right up there. But for access to the switch, you have this side panel right here. It comes off, and that gives you direct access to the switch itself. Alright, so that's how you get the wiring into the cab. What I did then is I secured my wiring here, and I ran it up through this area, and you can see it right in there, along underneath, all the way through that channel, and I come out here, and it's all secured all the way to the battery area. My relay's screwed to the firewall, and it's screwed to a grounding nut, because that needs to be grounded. The wire that goes to the front of the truck, which is this wire here, I have that coming up through here, staying tucked underneath the fender, going down below the battery, and then I detached this panel here, and I have it secured here, and here's my extra wire from the light, and then there's my plug. Overall installation of wiring is pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. You can do this in like an hour, literally, getting it in there. And so that's how you install the wiring for the lights to put in the front end here. Now that I have a flashlight, I can show you. That's the frame right there where that bolt is, the head of that bolt. That's the truck frame itself. And then you can see the leg that holds the light. So what am I installing? What I'm installing is their brand new, I guess they call it SS18 light. This is the driving light. With the combo light, I found, yeah, it threw a lot of light out and it lit up the area really well, but I needed light to go forward considerably further when I was using it. Overall width of this says 18, but it's really a little longer considering the legs. Yeah, 21 inches overall in length. So this is strictly a driving light. Here are the specs on the driving light. White driving, S18 light bar, and here are my lumens. So it's bright. That's my distance. Here are the specs for the sides. Free your screen for that. And there's that width I just measured. 21.25 overall width going to the outside of this. So in the box comes the light, your hardware, which is stainless steel, your Deutsch connector plug, which I won't have to use this part here because I already have that installed. So I just need this end. That's it. 8-year warranty against manufacturing defects. don't think there's really anything else to show on this packaging at all. It shows what I have. And that's the model number. DD5016 is the SKU for this light bar. And again, it's Diode Dynamics. Now I have them installed, their light already installed on my fog lights in the front end of the bumper. And I've been super happy with those things. Those things are unbelievable. So, because this one is being installed differently, I was talking about the feet or the legs. They don't go straight back, they go straight down. I have to change the mounting. So what I've done, I haven't finished working on the mounting, is I went out and bought 1/8 inch flat stock steel bar, weldable bar, because that tends to be stronger than just a plain old crappy steel bar. I went to a metal shop in my town, which I have them custom make things periodically for me. I had them put a 90-degree bend in it. So going up, I have, I think it's 3 inches going up. Yeah, 3 inches going up, and 3.5. Oh, 3 and 3. Oh. Yeah, 3 and 3. So the way this is going to work is when that is bolted to the frame in the front end, this will be bolted into the L bracket like that. And I made it where I have room on this, so I can play with the width of this, or the point of it being centered within the truck itself. Let me show you the side. There is adjustability, tilting up and down, and that's it. So we're going to get started on this probably tomorrow, because I'm losing daylight at this moment. Yeah, we're losing daylight. So right now, I'm going to uninstall that light there tonight and get it taken care of. And that's it. So here's the original flat stock C channel I had in there. It was a very small C channel, but you can see how the rust was protruding. This is a really cheap piece of steel. Surprised it even lasted as long as it did. But that's how it sat. And here your light bar handles. So I'm going to show you the holes in the frame where this was attached to. Right here, this hole and that hole to hold that up. So looking from here, here's the hole I'm talking about. You can see it's a pretty sizable hole, and it's on both sides. So that's what the L brackets I'm going to install are going to attach to this. I just use a supersized washer. I mean, it's a large hole. It's going to sit in the way it sits. I try to get as close as possible. As for these plastic covers, you know, the little bumperettes, these just pop off. So I want to show you what they look like. You can see the little plastic pieces here. This plastic piece slides into this hole and this hole. The longer plastic piece slides into here. So I just used, I brought it to the garage already. I just used a pry bar and pried in this way and popped it out from the front, going through the top, and then popped it out of here. They do break over time. As you can see, like this one here kind of broke. The one that holds the license plate is missing this entire tab right here, and it's just 3 holding it on, but I mean, they're cheap. So yeah, that's it. So next I'm going to work on getting these brackets fitted in and see how they look. So you can see how I have the bracket installed. I just have a clip on there holding it on both sides, and yeah, it's not centered over the hole because it's a wider bar. So knowing that, give me a second here. Alright, so I got them clamped back in place. Let's rest the light on here. Now I know it's not level up and down. I can see this side is higher than the left side, but I'm not worried about that. But if you look at where my feet are, they're right on the leading edge. And I'm not going to get a good mounting hole behind here to make that bracket secure enough. So I have to drill a hole up. I will have to drill a hole here and then go through the frame of the truck for that. So, but this gives you an idea how much thinner this light bar is compared to the other one, and this light bar is substantially brighter than the old one. And you see all the space I got here, so I can actually go down, I don't know, I can go up actually, maybe like this. That would be best. Get it up tight against the bumper, because basically the higher you can get a light up, the better throw it will have forward with the beam. So like for example, if I was putting the light up here in front of the grill, I'd have a better throw of the light going forward. I'd see more road versus it being down here. But this is my only option. The other option in hood, there is no option. I support it with a very flimsy bracket on each side there that I'm aiming my light at. So we're going to come back to this tomorrow morning or tomorrow and continue working on this. The light still works, obviously. So I may end up just giving this to a buddy of mine who owns a UTV, and he can install it on his UTV, even though riding at night is not allowed where he keeps the UTV, but hey, you never know. So the new one, I ended up working on the brackets last night, and as you can see, this will be the hole that I will have to drill into the frame of the truck. This elongated hole is for this elongated hole. That way I can adjust the light left and right, and then obviously I can adjust the light up and down through here. The way I did this elongated hole, for those who are curious, is I drilled 2 holes with a 1/4 inch drill bit, and I drill them as close as I can, and then from there I use a grinder bit inside this to elongate the hole. That was the way I did it. If you don't have this, which most people will not, you can always use a file. It takes time, but you put this in a vise and you can file the hole, the piece between the 2 holes, and file it so it comes out elongated. So now that I got some light, I'm going to show you what the front of the truck looks like without a flashlight. So here was the original location, and here's the frame. So this here, I'm going to have to drill a hole in order to mount this bracket in. I'm looking at how it sticks out here in the corner. So it looks like I'm going to round this part here out so it doesn't stick out so much. I don't know if the little license plate holder will hit this or not, but I'd rather just grind it down to be sure. Do it to this side. Same thing. I'll have to round the corner off with a grinder. But that gives you a very good idea of the frame axis you have for adding a light bar to the front end of your truck. So next, I have to clean these off. I use acetone to clean the metal off, so because I have oil on here. We're going to treat it with bonding primer. This stuff is excellent for steel and aluminum. It just doesn't come off. Once it's on that metal, the paint that you put on there will actually fall off way before the primer will ever fall off. I've never had the primer come off the steel. I've always had the paint come off, and I've always had to touch up the paint. So that's the product to use when you're doing bare metal. So let me work on getting, what I need to do is I need to attach this to the light, meaning through bolt it here on both sides, and then I'm going to put this up in a position and with a Sharpie mark where my holes have to go in that frame. So let me work on that. The mounting hardware that comes with this light I am not using. I went out and bought 1/4-inch bolts with a nylock nut, stainless steel washer, stainless steel bolt, washer on the bottom. The reason why is when this is inside here, I need the ability to adjust this, and the hardware that comes with it, you have to have a Allen wrench through the top, and then the nut itself was not a nylock nut, so I just upgraded the hardware. Same for this. This is a 3/8 bolt up here. That will be stainless steel as well, with a nylock nut on the back side. This is a countersink. It's to take the rough edges off the hole that I just drilled. There we go. New mounting holes. Well, my new brackets are done. So it's still a little damp, but they are dry. So looking at how I curved them, this is my left side, my right side. So, time to install. So I kind of did this where I can put the brackets on the light and then install the bracket into the truck. So by doing that, that gives me access to moving it around and getting it lined up. Using a fender washer. This is I think a 1 1/4 fender washer. My bolt is 3/8. Reason I'm using a fender washer is I wanted to disperse the pressure over the entire bracket, not just where the hole is. On the back side, I'm doing a single washer, 3/8, plus a nylock nut. Nylock nut has the nylon insert, so this will never back off, never come loose. Now, the bracket is installed on the frame. We'll loosen these up so I can get the light aim straight. So I can get the light to aim straight. So I just loosen these up. Alright, one thing I just noticed here and here, the 2 tabs. That's from the license plate holder that used to be in here. 2 metal tabs are part of this bumper. So I'm just going to get a rod and a hammer, just kind of bend them up a little slightly, so I can have the ability to tilt the light up and down. Right now, the light touches the tabs. I want to show you those tabs. Right here. That one and that one. They're going to be bent up. Okay, earlier I showed you the hardware that came with the light. There were two types of bolts I could use on the outside to attach to the bracket. That's the bolts, or that's the hardware to angle the light up and down. I chose the one with a bolt head versus the one with an Allen head, because then I can easily adjust it with just a wrench, instead of trying to get an Allen wrench inside that little hole. Now, because I bent the two tabs up here, that allows me to change the angle of the lights. Because my wiring is already in place. And I do have dielectric grease already inside that plug, so I have a good connection. So now you can see how well hidden that is. I wanted to get it as high as possible towards the top, so if I stand up here, you can see how it starts to hide, but it means most of my light will be thrown forward. So let's hit the power switch, see how we do. Go. We're putting this on this side here. It's my bracket. So I got to trim this off, and more likely I got to do it for the other side as well. I'm just using tin snips for this. I had to cut in a little more, so I just used a utility knife. It is soft enough to use a utility knife. And there we go. The installation of a light bar. You can see how it does not stick out. So airflow can still get inside into here. Here's the back side. Oh, so you can see how the bracket cuts into it. But that's it. So again, this is a Diode Dynamics SS18 light. It's an upgrade on my truck compared to the old one. These lenses are replaceable, which is a really cool thing. So either on my fog lights or my light bar here, if I want to change the entire lens to amber, I can do that. I can also change the lens from a driving lens to a fog lens, or from a driver lens to a combo lens. So the combo lens includes the drive and the fog. I don't know which section is what, if it's like 2 sections of drive and 1 section of fog, or 2 sections of fog and 1 section of drive. I don't know, because the light's in 3 sections. But these lenses are replaceable, so if they ever get damaged or just worn out from the stones and sand that hits them, you get another set of lens. But that's it. Any questions, rifle them down below in the comment section. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll also put in the links to the light and to the wire harness. And yeah, that's Big Guy DIY. Robert signing off. Give me a thumbs up if this was educational or helpful in any way, if you wanted to add a light bar to your F-150. That's it. Have a good one.